The Big Mac is dead. What you're eating today is its corpse.
No fucking flavor. No flavor.
It does look a lot smaller and sadder than I remember.
When Jim Delagatti first created it back in 1967, he used quality beef, fresh lettuce, and actual cheese. The executives at McDonald's hated it, but Delagatti fought back and won. His creation would become the most iconic burger in history.
It is the iconic sandwich at McDonald's.
You know what it is? That's a drug addiction.
You know what it is?
You're a drug addict.
It's a good Big Mac. That's what the hell it is.
You're a drug addict.
Then McDonald's got their revenge. Today's Big Mac contains over 70 ingredients: maltodextrin, high fructose corn syrup, polysorbate 80. I mean, what even is that?
This is a Big Mac. And this is everything that's in a Big Mac.
It's your McDonald's Big Mac. You've got to taste it to believe it, you know what I mean?
And this is while McDonald's sells around 1 billion Big Macs every year. That's $5.7 billion in revenue from a product that bears zero resemblance to what Delagatti actually created. So how did they get away with this? In this video, we'll reveal how McDonald's destroyed an American icon. From Jim Delagatti's pure original vision to the ruthless executive power plays, disastrous decisions, and lab-created horrors that turned a beloved burger into a chemical cash machine. By the end, you'll never look at a Big Mac the same way.
I think we're going to be here a while. I suggest you go get a Big Mac.
McDonald's global success is, in large part, because of one man. Ray Kroc was a ruthless businessman.
He was a man who once said this about his rivals, quote, "If they were drowning to death, I'd put a hose in their mouths."
Ray was also a bully. Kroc forced Richard and Maurice McDonald, who created the brand, out of the business.
He basically gave them a deal that they couldn't refuse.
To add salt to their wounds, he also took the McDonald's name. Kroc wasn't an innovator, so he stole some tricks from the brothers. Then, he copied White Castle co-founder Billy Ingram's model for standardizing the fast food experience across locations. Combined with aggressive franchising, McDonald's rose to the top of the market. A consequence of this sort of growth was disturbing. It put McDonald's on a path that would later ruin one of the most iconic burgers of all time and trade our health for profit. McDonald's had sold 400 million hamburgers by 1960. It went public on the New York Stock Exchange in 1965 and reached 2 billion people served by 1966. As McDonald's grew, customer taste shifted. They started losing out to brands like Big Boy with their double-decker sandwich and Burger King with the Whopper. The message was clear. People wanted bigger burgers, but McDonald's had none to offer them. The brand needed to do what Ray Kroc couldn't: innovate. So they did, and the Big Mac was born.
This is the sandwich. McDonald's new Big Mac sandwich for the bigger-than-average appetite.
The idea for the burger didn't come from Kroc or an executive in a stuffy suit and tie, so who was it? Jim Delagatti was a World War II veteran. When he came back home, I doubt he was planning on becoming a fast food legend. He only had one question on his mind after the war. Well, what now? Then he saw it, a magnificent, bright-as-the-sun yellow M. Delagatti became a McDonald's franchisor in 1957, but he was still years away from making the burger that would define his legacy. Over the next decade, Jim proved to be an excellent businessman. He owned about a dozen franchises in and around Pittsburgh by 1967. He was living the American dream. Life was good, but there was a problem, and only Jim could see it coming.
Burger King has the Whopper. McDonald's is home of the what?
Earlier, we said that McDonald's needed to innovate, so they did. Well, we skipped a few steps in between. Jim was a hands-on operator, and in the back half of the 60s, he noticed something odd happening with his customers. Workers from the steel mill nearby, once regulars at McDonald's, had turned away. Now, they walked into a Big Boy instead. After a tough shift, a regular hamburger wasn't enough, but a Big Boy or a Whopper hit the spot. They wanted 2 patties, not 1. It was a straightforward customer insight, but only Jim saw it. Losing a handful of customers every day stacks up over time. Jim understood that if McDonald's didn't evolve, it would die. McDonald's needed a double patty burger.
The idea behind the Big Mac was to counter the size of the Whopper.
When Jim proposed the idea to executives, they weren't interested. McDonald's sold hamburgers for 18 cents, not this 45-cent two-patty beast a Pittsburgh franchiser was proposing. Only one man was actually listening to what Jim was saying, and he concluded that the man from Pittsburgh was right. He was Ralph Lanfer, a regional manager from Columbus, Ohio. He backed Delegati until the businessmen gave in and allowed a test run in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. But it was never going to be easy. They placed a condition on this test. Jim could only use existing McDonald's ingredients to make his burger. That sounds like a fair deal, right? It wasn't. When Jim tried to make his burger, he quickly discovered they were too small to contain his vision. There was no way he could make a double patty burger with this bread. That was when he understood what this condition really was. It was a deception meant to set him up for failure. They wanted his Big Mac to fail. They'd get what they wanted, only a few decades later than planned. McDonald's executives knew that the buns they used couldn't hold two patties. They were banking on the bread to fall apart. But Ralph's faith in Jim didn't waver in the face of this setback. Every legend has a defining moment, and this was it for the Big Mac.
I'm going to show you how McDonald's builds a Big Mac sandwich. It starts here with a lightly toasted bun.
Jim went rogue. He walked out of the kitchen and into a local bakery. He emerged with a larger bun topped with sesame seeds. This would be the foundation for his design. Jim cut the bun in 3, added 2 patties, slapped on some of his special sauce, topped it with cheese and pickles, and the Big Mac was born. When it took off, Delegati was seen as the maverick of the fast food industry. Seeing his undeniable success, McDonald's execs backed Delegati. The Big Mac became a cultural phenomenon.
The creation of the Big Mac is like throwing a match into a flame-broiled tinderbox, and the whole thing explodes.
A great burger, combined with their advertising that promoted a story of wholesome, good food, was a recipe for success.
They were really spending a lot of money on competitive advertising. Those ads were everywhere.
2 all-beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame special sauce.
Today's ads still sell you the same story because there's too much money to be made by lying to you.
2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
But we'll tell you the truth for one reason. The Big Mac both represents and is a victim of every lowly, greedy, and corrupt decision McDonald's has made over the last 5 decades. As customers, we're privileged. We can sit here and judge the Big Mac and McDonald's all day long. But for 2 men, one of whom we've mentioned, the Big Mac isn't just a burger, it's their life, their entire legacy. A lot of us would look at them favorably because we have fond memories of the burger, but maybe we shouldn't. They're pillars McDonald's can point to and celebrate the Big Mac's greatness, but from a different point of view, they become something much, much worse.
I don't need to tell you how things are right now. Unemployment is at an all-time high. People can't afford to pay their rent or mortgage, but you can afford a delicious Big Mac.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Today's Big Mac is horrible. You know it, we know it. Clean ingredients have been replaced by loads of chemicals and lab-created approximations of real food. When Jim Delegati made his first Big Mac, do you think he had access to the overprocessed stuff all over the market today? No, he didn't. Jim knew what he wanted and McDonald's needed. Making the burger was his only mission. He completed it with clean, wholesome ingredients packed with flavor that justified its 45-cent price tag. The sweet relish in his secret sauce didn't have high fructose corn syrup. Yours does, though, and it screws with your insulin resistance, putting you at high risk of type 2 diabetes.
High fructose corn syrup goes through a process which converts some of its glucose into fructose, which makes it even sweeter.
The pickles in his Big Mac didn't have polysorbate 80, but the ones in yours do.
Now, this is an emulsifier which will thicken liquids. Studies have shown that it can lead to an increase in colon cancer and infertility in mice. It's not a guarantee to say that it will do the same to humans, but it's probably not the best sign.
Some of the ingredients McDonald's uses today are nasty. They have no nutritional value and exist only to cut costs. That's a cost you pay with your health.
McDonald's Big Mac, it's more than just another hamburger.
Potassium aluminium sulfate, soy lecithin, sodium citrate, the citric acid, calcium chloride, polyoxyethylene sorbitan monooleate.
Great ingredients working together to make one great taste.
2 all-beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
Don Gorski's story began innocently enough. Still in his late teens, he was now the proud owner of his very own car. On his way home, Don took a detour. He wanted to try the new burger at McDonald's. It was allegedly bigger than anything else on their menu. It's a special burger for a special occasion. The 2 patties were bursting with flavor and incredibly juicy. The cheese had melted just the right amount. The onions were soft, a little sweet, but somehow kind of crunchy. It was, in a word, perfect.
When I opened up the red carton, the Big Mac was wrapped in a foil, and when you open it up, it was nice, steamy, hot, and I bit into that, and I said, this is the best food in the world.
Gorski fell in love with this burger. It was the first of over 35,000 Big Macs he ate. What drove a man to have such intense love for just a burger? It all began that day in May 1972. But the perfection of his first experience would be short-lived. Not because he did anything wrong. This happened because McDonald's couldn't get out of its own way. Even after the Big Mac's huge success, company executives felt they had to put their stamp on it. The thought that a franchisor had outdone them probably kept itching a corner of their minds. They got their stamp on their burger all right, but it's something McDonald's has been trying to wipe off for 3 decades. Was it executives chasing efficiency that backfired? Or had Jim's actions made him and his great creation a target? Whatever the reason, we're the ones who've suffered. Before the decline started, McDonald's stuck with Jim's original vision in the late 60s and early 70s. But then, the itch became impossible to ignore. They made 2 big changes that reeked of corporate greed and corrupted Jim's creation. First, they came for the onions, and people said nothing. A McDonald's staple and a Big Mac highlight were the onions cooked on top of the beef patties, creating an incredible exchange of caramelized flavor. It probably contributed to all of the Big Mac's early success, but they stopped doing that to be more efficient. The patties and onions were prepped separately and just assembled before being handed to the customer. No culinary spirit, just executives compelled to put their marketing degrees to work. Here's the kicker. Don Gorski hasn't eaten so many Big Macs because he's a foodie. He'd been diagnosed with OCD, and when he ate the Big Mac, he found peace in his disorder.
It's my favorite food. I never get sick of it, so I look forward to it every day.
His relationship with the burger is a double-edged sword, but McDonald's greed has made one edge much sharper than the other. What if this kind of compulsion is exactly what the company craves? If that's the direction they were headed, Jim Delegati didn't know the first thing about it. He was busy spearheading the McDonald's breakfast menu. The entire idea came from him feeding those same steel mill workers after a rough night shift. Jim's rise was linked directly to his first creation.
This is my dad, Jim Delegati. This is my dad, Jim Delegati. He created the world's greatest burger.
Notable thing about Don's life was his dedication to eating at least 2 Big Macs a day. Their lives revolved around a burger that was quickly becoming a double-patty pile of trash. A much bigger change was coming in the 90s. Looking back, it's kind of insane that McDonald's actually greenlit this decision. The company changed its buns. Not the individual ingredients, we'll get to that in a bit. They swapped out their classic buns for an oat fiber variant. They stopped toasting the bread too, sacrificing a time-honored McDonald's tradition at the altar of efficiency. They even stopped freshly searing the patties. The meat would be pre-seared and kept warm in cabinets before being sold to a customer. This brand had the audacity to think that customers would put up with these changes. Guess what? They were right. McDonald's opened 11,000 restaurants outside the US before the turn of the millennium.
It is the iconic sandwich at McDonald's, and now the Big Mac is turning the Big 5-0.
Closer to home soil, Don Gorski kept eating his daily Big Macs. When we were doing the research for this video, I wondered if he could feel the decline in flavor. Think about it. If you're someone who occasionally eats at McDonald's, then the difference would be obvious. But what about a man whose taste buds only knew what the Big Mac had to offer him? While Don was too close to see what was happening to the burger he loved, Jim only distanced himself further. He acknowledged that he'd copied Big Boy's double-decker sandwiches. There were 2 ways of looking at this. He was being humble, or he was undervaluing himself and his creation. Or there's a third way. Jim knew the wonderful Big Mac he created was gone. An untoasted oat fiber piece of crap had taken its place. If that's what Jim believed, he was decades ahead of the curve.
We don't even need to tell you its name. You know where to get it. And you know you want one. Right now.
In 2023, McDonald's finally introduced revolutionary changes that would take their burgers to new heights. They decided to toast their buns and cook the onions on top of their patties. Sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? But here's the thing, McDonald's was in too deep. They'd pumped their food with so many fillers, chemicals, and other nonsense, these changes couldn't just be tradition repackaged as innovation. Caramelized onions, new bread, that's child's play. McDonald's got the ball rolling on something way more dangerous a long time ago.
We interrupt regular programming for this McDonald's commercial break. It's McDonald's delicious Big Mac sandwich. It's 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and onions on a sesame seed bun.
It's no coincidence the Big Mac began changing when Jim shifted his focus elsewhere. The burger was a golden egg its creator handed over to McDonald's executives and walked away. They could do whatever they wanted with it. It's obvious to anyone paying attention that McDonald's changes were driven entirely by selfishness and greed. So they chose a way to bridge the gap between the kitchen and the boardroom to meet their only goal, bigger profits. That choice was food engineering. Why worry about what comes out of the kitchen when you can manufacture it in a lab? You might be wondering just how Don Gorski and Jim Delegati fit into this picture. Well, this is where the different point of view from earlier comes in, and you'll see it in just a minute. The Big Mac's decline started in the 70s with the introduction of high-fructose corn syrup. It introduced maltodextrin into our diets, an ultra-processed carb with no nutritional value. It's tough to identify exact timelines, but we do know that McDonald's burger buns have maltodextrin in them. There's also potato starch, cornstarch, and modified food starch. They all serve the same purpose, to add volume and to cut costs for McDonald's. That's fine if it wasn't wrecking your health. We use the glycemic index to see how certain foods affect your blood sugar. Here are the numbers. Regular table sugar has a GI of 65. Glucose is at an even 100. But maltodextrin can be anywhere between 105 and 185. Can you imagine the kind of blood sugar spike you have to deal with once maltodextrin enters your system? Diabetes is immediately on the table, and so is weight gain. A 2012 study also suggests maltodextrin screws with the bacteria in your gut and can leave you more susceptible to autoimmune diseases. If it's so unhealthy, why are we putting so much of it in our food? The answer's one word: money. Maltodextrin is a booming market, and it's projected to hit a market value of $4.9 billion by 2034. That's great news for McDonald's, and this is where Don Gorski and Jim Delegati come in. There are loads of studies about fast food being unhealthy, but McDonald's can point to either man as long-term proof that it isn't. They're McDonald's shield to cower behind when criticism comes their way. Gorski has eaten over 35,000 Big Macs and is reportedly healthy. Jim ate one a week before his death in November 2016 at the ripe old age of 98. He's also a symbol of the American dream, a war veteran returning home, becoming a successful businessman and fast food legend. Both men are exceptions to the rule. Gorski reportedly doesn't eat anything else, and his OCD may prevent him from becoming a victim of upselling. He also walks 6 miles every day.
I've stayed in pretty good shape because, for one thing, I'm kind of hyperactive. I do a lot of walking.
Meanwhile, Jim proved he was built for this industry because he saw what people wanted and gave it to them. There's a shift in thinking now. It's not about what people want, it's about tricking you, hacking your mind and body so you always want more. This is something we've talked about on the channel before. These practices are usually hidden away, but you can literally find the list of ingredients on their website. Let's go back to the Big Mac's list. Tell us if any of them ring a bell. Mono and diacetyl tartaric acid esters of mono and diglycerides of fatty acids, or DATM. No? It's a synthetic emulsifier that works alongside the polysorbate 80 we mentioned earlier. Let's try an easier one. Dextrose. That's a simple sugar you get from corn with a glycemic index of 100, same as glucose. Our bodies react to it like maltodextrin. It's not addictive, but it sends your blood sugar through the roof. And what goes up must come down. Over time, your mind trains itself to keep chasing that high so you never have to come down. That sure sounds like addictive, some might even say compulsive behavior. Now, we can agree that McDonald's will use every sweetener, filler, or synthetic emulsifier to its advantage. They put you in a Petri dish, add a bunch of chemicals, and see what happens. They can point to people like Jim and Don to distract us from what the hell is in this burger. The defiance Delegati showed in the 60s when he made his first Big Mac is gone. What Gorski is putting into his body every day now is garbage. The Big Mac was crushed under the boot of corporate greed and rebuilt in its image. One burger, a series of small changes, but an impact that has rippled across decades and lives. The burger was a symbol of McDonald's greatness. Now it's a reminder of how far they've fallen. Brands like these built their global footprint by screwing over the little guy. Ray Kroc pulled one over the McDonald's brothers. Now, the brand's top honchos bankroll billions in food engineering to get you addicted. It's messed up, but some brands go a step further. Child labor, man-made droughts, and murder become just another day at the office.